It's 130 years since Wahine won the right to vote. These days, more women vote than men. We've had 3 women prime ministers, and last year Parliament had a majority of women for the first time.
How much do you think Labour will win by? A lot.
As the election heats up, parties are chasing every vote on offer, and that means knowing how women vote and why. Dr. Lara Greaves is a social scientist who specialises in voter attitudes, and even for her, it's complicated.
In the last couple of elections, we've seen women more likely to vote for the Labour Party. That gap last time round was like about 10-13%, depending on how you cut it. So quite a big gap compared to earlier elections.
In 2017, Labour did 6% better with women than it did with men, then doubled that to 12% in 2020.
Oh, it's really nice to meet you.
Jacinda Ardern was incredibly popular with women voters.
Make sure I keep some distance.
Under Ardern, Labour's caucus was 56% women, but polling suggests the proportion of women in Labour's caucus will drop below 50% after the election. And while National's list boasts 21 women in its top 40, not everyone is stoked with the party's newfound enthusiasm for diversity. In post-election, the proportion of women in the Nats caucus will likely be down to a third. The Greens and Te Pāti are staking their success on their wahine, with both female co-leaders at number 1 on their party lists. While actor New Zealand First don't seem too bothered, women make up about a third of their candidates. It's a very different landscape to 3 years ago. 2 female leaders have been replaced by 2 Chris's.
I think it's hard to use historical precedent and data in this election because it's been quite a while, going back sort of 3 elections, 10 years, since we've had 2 men against one another.
The conventional wisdom is that the right has a problem with women voters.
I have a personal view, as you know, as a pro-life position.
Women need contraception every month. Would you look at carving out that for women?
No, I think...
But the trend may be changing. One tool that captures women's voting intentions is the Roy Morgan poll. For 6 years, it's shown women are more likely to throw their support behind the left bloc. But the margin between the left and the right is getting slimmer, and in some cases, the right bloc has overtaken.
How important is the women's vote?
I would suspect that all the political parties are wanting women to vote for them, 51% of the population. It makes a lot of sense. I imagine that the political parties are drilling a little bit more down and thinking about what the women who tend to support them look like.
In the United States, so-called suburban moms are courted as a group. But here...
You can't put us Kiwi gals in a box. How we vote is influenced by our age, ethnicity, finances and life experiences. So, what do New Zealand women care about this election?
I'm not sure about party currently, but for me, just more like focus on mental health.
Climate change.
It's my first year voting, so I'd probably say definitely sex education in schools or more free period products.
Funding for education and health.
Child poverty and cost of living, the fact that families can't put food on the table.
It's definitely equality.
All eyes are on the political unicorn that is Middle New Zealand.
It's shaping up to be such a tight election. Surely everyone will be wanting to go after that group of undecided voters.
There's some kind of like mythical median voter, and they sit in the middle between Labour and National. There's somewhere, it depends on the study, 7 to sort of 11% of people, and they are more likely to be women. Women are less likely to have those strong partisan attachments. So it's a small difference, but it's still a difference, especially in a close election that parties will be paying attention to.
We've seen political parties courting those votes with policies aimed at families, paid parental leave, working for families, GST off fruit and veg, and vaping restrictions. But
is Labour doing enough for women in New Zealand?
I'm really proud of our track record when it comes to women and the policies that we've implemented. ACC cover for maternal birth injuries, reinstatement of the training incentive allowance, a child support pass-on for those on sole parent benefit. That's a pretty good starting point, I think.
I am very proud to have let my feminist self completely out of her cage in Parliament to talk about how important it is that parents share parental leave.
I have birthed 4 children, and I find it insulting for members opposite to imply that women do not know what care arrangements best suit their family.
So I proudly say that the National Party is the party for women.
I'm really, really proud of the long-standing staunch support for women, women's rights and experiences that we've always had.
We come from a culture that's matriarchal, so we're often in colonised spaces like this which are very patriarchal, and I think we will continue to remind wahine of our role and what it is that we have and that we did never stand alone.
Winning the votes of New Zealand women might be complicated, but Greaves has one piece of advice for politicians. Don't stuff it up.
It's not just necessarily about appealing to that group, but it's about making sure that women don't have a negative view of a politician or party as well. Because if someone has a negative view of you, they're not going to vote for you. I mean, that's not political science as such. But I think it's really important for parties and leaders to not be backed into a corner, to not have a gaffe that blows up into a whole kind of gender wars issue.
At this stage of the race, the all-important women's vote is anyone's to lose.